All right, welcome back to the Nexus Gaming Series. Tonight's matchup in Division A between Illusion Esports on the blue side and the Black Hand on the right side. Game 1 was a fairly decisive victory for Illusion, taking the Black Hand down on Sky Temple. And Infernal Shrines is actually the map that Illusion Esports has selected for game number 2. Milk Ducks, any remaining thoughts from game 1?
No, I think we covered a lot of it just in between the matches, but I'll just reiterate a little bit of what we talked about here. I guess people are saying that Illusion's kind of like a one-trick pony as far as Vala goes.
To be fair, that's sourced from one comment in Twitch chat. I have not verified it myself.
No, yeah, that's not. I'm not saying that at all. That's just, I guess that's what you had mentioned. Someone had said that. So I would definitely look to either see Blackhand. I was gonna say, Blackhand bans out the Vala, but it looks like they banned out the Tassadar, which is part of what makes Vala good. So I can see that. Just to reiterate, Blackhand is on the right still, and Illusion's still on the left.
Yes.
Okay, cool, yeah. So they are banning out the Tassadar, which is, again, part of what makes Vala so strong. If you want a hero that really shuts down, if they're looking for a hero that shuts down Vala, and they play him, I would say go Zeratul, right? Because basically he's all burst, and then he counters mobility heroes. He has strong burst, and he counters strong mobility. So it's very strong here. However, if they go with the silence pool with Stukov again, that's going to be very hard for him to get out potentially.
Yeah, we see Illusion deciding to ban the Garrosh this time, even though they used it to great effect in the last game. Obviously, knowing how good it is, they also fear going against it. And the Vala now first picked for Blackhand.
So yeah, Blackhand is very concerned about the Vala, I think. They want to make sure. So first they were saying, okay, let's take Tassadar off the field. Now they're saying, like, okay, we're just going to play Vala. We're going to take that away from them. And I don't mind that. I don't mind that at all. I feel like you need to break up Illusion's momentum here. And so getting him on a different carry is probably one of the best ways to start that.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, obviously, the way things worked last time did not go super well for the Blackhand, so making sure that things are at least different in that regard, and it looks like things are going to be fairly different. Already 2 of the heroes used by Illusion in the last game are off the board. We'll see what they do with their first couple of picks here.
Yeah, that's one of the most important things you can do, man, is breaking up momentum. I know we recently had a Penny Arcade tournament, right, in which we were casting. And one of the things we saw, the team that won basically played the same comp every single game in the series.
Right.
And I think that was a big part of why they won. You couldn't break up their momentum.
Yeah, and so the Stukov is at least one constant that Illusion is going back to here. This time they have the ETC as their main tank, or at least one of their tanks. We'll see what they end up with the rest of the draft. Stukov is definitely someone that I personally love to play on Infernal Shrines. Just getting that huge lurking arm in one of those little shrine areas. You get the enemy silenced, and meanwhile you get incidental AoE damage on all those little skeleton men. So personally, I just think that's a fun pick on this map. What are your thoughts on Stukov's strengths here?
I think Stukov's very strong here, yeah. And I definitely think you're going to see them run a double support again, like we talked about. Double support is very strong right now. And so the problem with, like, I agree with you. I think that the lurking arm, especially like with the increased size and maybe even the range, very strong here. The problem is that when he's doing that, it's not healing. So the second support also kind of synergizes well with just being able to lock down that area, like we talked about.
Yeah, we'll see if he ends up going for the lurking arm talents. He did not choose to do that in the last game.
I don't typically play that way. But I think on this map specifically might be worthwhile, especially if you have a second support. But we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, so Uther being picked up by the Blackhand, taking away another one of Illusion's previous heroes. This time paired up with a Johanna. So a very different team composition already coming in for the Blackhand. They've got Vala, Johanna, Uther. Seems like a very strong core to build the rest of their team around.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Johanna's very good on the shrines. Vala's very good on the shrines. They both have a lot of AoE damage, and Johanna's just extremely difficult to pin down.
Lucio banned once again against Illusion. I believe they banned him in the last game as well. Something about that hero, the Black Hand, just doesn't really like, I think.
I mean, we've played. I mean, you and I have played Stukov,
Right.
Lucio. Yeah, and it's ridiculous.
It's obnoxious.
It's obnoxious. It's not, So I think that if you have Stukov, and you're not sure, even if you're not sure what to ban, I would just ban the Lucio because it's too much to deal with.
Right. Well, I'm interested to see what these picks are going to be, because at the moment we don't really have a clear picture as to what Illusion is going for in this game. They've got a support, they've got a tank. Let's see what they do here. I guess they could use a solo laner, perhaps. At the moment, they don't have really one of those.
Yeah, they'll pick up 2 solo laners, I imagine. We haven't seen the globals get picked up. In fact, there's your first global with right wing. It wouldn't even be bad if you saw Dahaka even as the second. Both are very strong heroes on this map specifically.
Yeah, it's interesting. We often do see a lot of focus on globals in bans and early picks, but not this time. The ETC, obviously early picked, has the option of a global, although the Mosh Pit is typically favored. But Brightwing picked here, Dahaka still open, Falstad's still open. We'll see whether or not Blackhand decides to respond with one of those picks to be able to match that global presence. While we're waiting on that, I've noticed Brightwing has really come back into popularity recently. Can you explain your opinion on why that might be?
Yeah, absolutely. First of all, Brightwing's always been strong. She's just kind of considered under, Brightwing has always been a great healer. She lost the ability to burst heal. Okay, so that's one of the things that she kind of fell away as a solo healer. But like I said, we've kind of come into that era of double support, and so she's really good in that capacity, right? Right now, Stukov Brightwing brings a lot of just super efficient AoE healing. She also has a global. She has the polymorph that can shut down all kinds of stuff. Like, let's say, for example, Sonya's spin. She's a very strong support. She's just not a solo support typically. But
Right.
we're not in that meta anymore. You know what I mean? That we're in a double support meta, in which case she's fantastic.
Right, so
Also,
it's less about Brightwing, the hero itself, being drastically different, so much as the environment being different. And with this double support
correct.
situation, that's really where a lot of these kind of previously perhaps overlooked heroes are starting to come back.
Exactly. Also, I like this Sonya. I think that's probably unlucky, right? I looked at his roster earlier, and Sonya was his top late hero. She's very good on this map. I'm a little bit worried about. So you got the Brightwing. They can polymorph her out of the spin. ETC is just walking disruption, so he can disrupt. He can disrupt spin anytime he wants to. Dahaka has the silence. I'm a little bit worried about Sonya in this particular situation.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. The Sonya's definitely going to have to be careful. Blackhand having a pretty solid front line with the Johanna and the Sonya and even the Uther to protect Vala and Kel'Thuzad. We see the Lunara being the final pickup over for Illusion. So some very mobile, kind of sustained, annoying as heck DPS on top of the Malthael, who's also very annoying and kind of hard to shut down. How do you see Blackhand kind of handling those two damage threats from Illusion?
So I think what they need to focus on is just straight burst damage. They need to get someone and just blow them up. And they can do that with Sonya's Ancient Spear. They can do that with a lot of the burst that Vala has. They can lock people down with Uther and Johanna. Kel'Thuzad has ridiculous burst. So that's what they want to do. They want to just get a hold of that Lunara, or get a hold of anybody and just blow them up, because they will not win any kind of sustained engagement. Not against a Brightwing and a Stukov. Okay? And second, solo Uther cannot sustain against all the AoE damage from Lunara and Malthael. He just can't.
All right, great insight, Ducks. And game number 2 starting now on Illusion Esports. We have Kozer playing ETC Malthael being piloted by Exfusor. Medieval on Lunara, Defender on Stukov once again, and this time unaverted on Brightwing.
Yep. And then on Black Hand, we have Unlucky on Vala. I would have thought that he would have been on Sonya. Okay. Unlucky on Vala. Johanna, or Dayuni on Johanna. Disco playing Sonya this time. Capulan playing Uther, and then Genji on Kel'Thuzad.
All right, and looking at the talents, it looks like Stukov is not going for that expanding Lurking Arm build, going for the Spine Launcher instead. Same choice he went with last game. What are your thoughts on that talent now that it has been modified to do a little bit more damage than it used to?
I think it's always been good. Can you tell me why he picked it?
Well, given what you were saying about Black Hand really just looking to blow somebody up, they've got a lot of tools to just kind of take out somebody who's a little bit too far forward. And so although Stukov has a very damaging melee attack, it looks like he's probably going to be a little bit scared to go in, especially given that ETC is the only frontline on his team.
I think that's part of it. I think that they don't have a lot of incredibly mobile heroes on Black Hand. So any kind of slow that you can put on them, like you can get a slow on the Kel'Thuzad, he's probably dead. Also, I think whenever I think of Sonya, I think, okay, it's just good to think of, like, whenever you see a melee DPS, whether it's an assassin or a bruiser like Sonya, what do they need? Okay, what do they need to be effective? They need movement speed, okay? Every melee assassin has either a slow or they can boost their own movement speed. Like look at Thrall, right? He can Wind Fury to get his speed up. Sonya, I'm gonna talk about Sonya. Sonya, her trait is movement speed. When she uses abilities, she gets like a 10% movement speed. So basically, you need to have movement speed on a melee assassin in order to be effective. So having that slow on like a super consistent, easy to land slow is really strong against someone like Sonya.
Very good. Well, we see that Disco and Unlucky both been whittled down to just below half health up there. The temple, or rather the shrine, has been active for a little while in the middle. No one has yet clicked on it. Exfusor walks up to it, takes a look, and decides, nah, not yet. So far, all teams just kind of focusing on the XP, although it looks like the Black Hand is starting to collect in that mid lane now. Dayuni activates the shrine. No skeleton men have been killed just yet, but Disco now goes in. Whirlwind coming out, and that's going to be a lot of skeletons starting to go down on the side of the Black Hand. Malthael looks like he whiffed that that ability of his, and both teams kind of just dancing around here. So far, the skeleton advantage going over to the Black Hand, but early still, Dayuni going in, getting a nice 5-man pull on that. Not a lot of follow-up from the team. Damage going back and forth. Dayuni getting quite low on that Johanna now, even going in no matter what. Still not afraid to get in there, but the health bar is getting a little bit low on the side of Black Hand. Uther, as you said, going to have a hard time keeping his team topped up in the same way that perhaps Stukov and Brightwing will on their side.
Right. I think that in any kind of sustained engagement, yeah, Disco's going to go down here. In any kind of sustained engagement, Illusion just has an advantage. I think in order to be effective, Black Hand is just going to have to get picks ahead of time.
Right, so looks like Illusion is going to come out on top of this first shrine phase. The poor little skeleton men just getting picked off one by one by one. They never give up. They still seem hopeful, like they're going to get something done, but even Defender's not too scared of them. So just like that, Frozen Punisher coming out for Illusion.
So you have 15 stacks right now on Genji for Kel'Thuzad. He needs 30 to complete his quest. So he's not the scariest character right now, but he will be, as soon as he can complete those quests. And then he just got another 2 stacks at least. 3 stacks, excuse me, he's at 18.
Alright, so we see the team splitting up in slightly different ways. Illusion deciding to take advantage of this to try to get the XP soak advantage. Brightwing went down there by herself, however, Unlucky has come down to chase her away. Unaverted, trying to avert the damage, and it looks like Illusion thought about coming down to gank Unlucky there, but decided that wasn't going to happen. Instead, they're going to try to get an invade onto this siege camp. But as they do, Dione, Kapolan, and Genji coming down to try to thwart that. Nice pull in, unlucky, kind of on the other side of the enemy. A little bit dangerous positioning there, as Valor does have to back away. And that invade ends up failing.
So we had talked about Brightwing before and kind of why she's come back into the meta. Another thing that I forgot to mention, and I'll sort of touch base on now, is that she's one of the few supports left in the game that still has Cleanse. That's a talent that's kind of largely gone away. Most supports don't have that anymore, and I think the longer this game goes on, I think you're going to see, I've mentioned this many times actually, I think you're going to see a time where there just is no Cleanse anymore. Most supports who are considered to be very strong lost that ability some time ago. But Brightwing, because she has always kind of been considered, you know, one of the weaker supports, does still have it. Lily still has it, Rhaegar still has it.
Right, and I think that explains why Malfurion has kind of dropped off the radar a little bit. He used to be one of the top picks, and shortly after they took his Cleanse away, we've seen that he's not as popular as he used to be.
Correct. He also just can't deal at all with AoE damage the way a lot of other healers can now. In response to a Malfurion pick, you just pick a lot of AoE, you know.
Genji getting some nice damage down onto Medieval, who gets healed right back up again. XP fairly even so far, level 9 for both teams, structurally even. One kill has gone over to Illusion, but so far fairly even as a Shrine is activating in that bottom section.
I think that both teams are going to try and soak up as quickly as they can to 10 and then contest. And if that's the case, Illusion will come out ahead by 30 seconds probably.
Yeah, it looks like they're going to hit level 10 extremely soon. Unaverted doing a nice job getting some XP advantage up here. Pushing with the Mercenary Camp, might even get some structures down as Sonya is kind of busy taking that Mercenary Camp of her own. By the time she's finished with that, she's going to have lost a lot of that fort wall. Down
yeah,
bottom,
I don't know how I feel about that.
Yeah, down bottom, it looks like Illusion has activated that shrine, and they're already working away on those skeleton men. Blackhand has picked up a few as well. Level 10 now picked up for both teams, so the next engagement could be fairly explosive. Koser getting a nice double power slide from the shadows there. Kel'Thuzad getting some pretty decent AoE damage, but those blue health bars just don't really go down too much. Exfusor going in the middle of everybody with Tormented Souls. Divine Shield onto Disco, who goes in whirlwinding, but that health bar is dropping fast. Lunara getting a nice kill onto the Sonya, now working again onto the Johanna. Dione goes down as well. That's 2 dead on the side of the Black Hand, and Illusion coming out on top.
Double support. Double support. It's very strong. It's so strong. You saw how low Unaverted got, but just between the automatic healing from Brightwing and the basically automatic healing from Stukov, just can't finish it off.
Yeah, I mean, we saw Kel'Thuzad land a couple abilities, but at least at this stage of the game, the burst just is not there. We'll see if that changes once he finishes that Master of the Cold Dark. It's possible at that point that that will swing the balance a little bit, but so far, Illusion just seeming pretty indestructible.
Right, he is only 4 stacks away from finishing it. Let's make that 2 stacks.
Yeah, decent damage down there onto Koser. Looks like that Punisher is going to get at least one of those turrets, if not the wall as well. Blackhand doing a decent job kind of distracting it. And Illusion looking once again to get an invade on that Mercenary Camp. We'll see if they can pull it off this time. I don't know if they can.
I don't think
kind of being surrounded now. Nice Rain of Vengeance landed by Unlucky, and that is Unaverted now going down. Koser on ETC power sliding away. But that is at least a kill. And it looks like Genji has completed that Master of the Cold Dark. So Kel'Thuzad now a much larger threat suddenly.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know if I agree with Illusion getting greedy and attacking that camp. If they had gone and just soaked up to 13, which they are now 13, they could just do whatever they wanted.
Well, Dione caught out of position in the middle of a bunch of blue health bars. Divine Shield goes down to try to save him, but I don't think it's going to even matter as there was no escape path. So I I guess it's just kind of a time-wasting wild goose chase at this point, but Exfuser finally does get the kill.
Yeah, I hate to see the Divine Shield go down, because I think that he was dead kind of no matter what happened, and now you've lost that for probably the next engagement.
Yeah, a little bit of perhaps miscommunication on the team, or misjudging the actual situation, because, I mean, maybe it seemed as though perhaps Johanna didn't even realize that that Divine Shield was coming. She kind of ran the wrong way. But
Exactly, yeah, she juked out the other way.
at any rate, she is back up now, so not that big of a deal, as Illusion is picking up a mercenary camp just in time for a shrine activation.
Right, so in order to contest this next shrine, Blackhand will need to get level 13. Right now they have a lot of people down in bottom lane. I'd like to see them spread out a little bit. There's kind of nobody in the other two lanes. Maybe they're just going to try to push down this bottom fort to secure the 13 and then get up there, but by the time they get there, it's going to be at least 15 to 20 skulls for Illusion.
Yeah, in the meantime, Illusion just deciding, well, we'll just go straight for your fort as well. Why not?
Right, exactly. With a goat camp.
Yeah, exactly. Exfuser has activated that camp and is starting to work on those little skeleton men. Blackhand now coming up to try to contest here. Daoni a little bit far ahead of the rest of his team. Pulls in Defender. Stukov uses that heroic to push people away, but getting extremely low. We see them really trying to get that Stukov down, but not able to do it. Exfuser taking a fair bit of damage from that Kel'Thuzad. Disco getting healed up nicely by Uther, but the health bar is getting so low. Oh my goodness, Defender just keeps on hanging on by a thread. And Sonya drops.
Yeah,
oh, man.
That's how we can just keep going back to that. If you can't, if Blackhand can't just blow somebody up, they gotta just back out.
They came really close. They really did. But it just wasn't enough. I think Defender was down to like sub 10 health at least a couple times in that engagement.
Having the vigorous reuptake, it's basically, you can basically think of it as having like an AoE ancestral healing on like what what's the cooldown?
So 15 seconds or so.
16 seconds. Yeah, it's ridiculous. So it does look like Illusion is going to get this shrine and also level 16, which will put them at a 2-level advantage and up a talent tier with a shrine pushing. So I expect that Blackhand will lose a keep here, but we'll see, kind of see how it plays out. Looks like they were going for a pick on Unaverted in the bottom, but he was able to pop his Emerald Wind to escape. Just not quite enough burst between Johanna and Kel'Thuzad at this point.
Yeah, Blackhand has been trying to get something done in that bottom lane for a while, but they keep having to kind of give up. They do get nice damage onto that fort, but it's not really going to matter, as all the action is right now in the top lane. Brightwing has come up to join the rest of her team. Punisher just firing fireballs all over the place. Damage already going down onto that tower, onto the keep, onto Manuel. Disco goes right into the middle. Defender again, very low. This time they do manage to finally get a kill. All right, we've been waiting to see what can happen if Blackhand finally gets a kill, and they do. But looks like Disco might be going down next. Lunara jumping right across the enemy team, not scared at all. Brightwing, as the sole support left, still able to keep that team alive, but we'll see whether or not Blackhand can chase this down. Nice work from Kel'Thuzad to get that CC and damage down. That's 2 deaths now. Will they get any more? Kozer dropping very low. Daoni on the chase, stunned up. That's ETC dropped. Looks like Exfuser Medieval are going to get out of there. But
pretty impressive defense, to be honest with you. That was a pretty impressive defense.
Yeah, that really was. I mean, we've been waiting for it all game. They finally did manage to actually get Defender down. And we'll see what they can do with this advantage now. They saved their keep, and it looks like they're going to get that bottom fort, or sorry, this mid fort, finally here. As of now, all forts still up for Illusion. Unlucky. Disco taking this time to grab that mercenary camp while they're just sitting there.
It looked like Malthael took Soul Collector and Soul Siphon at 13 and 16. Um, Usually you see Memento Mori picked up with Black Harvest, but I suppose being able to queue more often and increasing the range will help, especially when you're fighting on the objective. You have to remember that you're healing not only from enemy heroes, but also from all of the minions on the objective. Just makes them that much more difficult to kill. Dayuni kind of getting surrounded, but it's Johanna, so...
Yeah, Dayuni was just kind of keeping watch there, making sure that that rotation was going to be spotted, and it was. No harm, no foul. Let his team pick up that mercenary camp down bottom. So, the mercenary camp's not going to get much done, but it's at least going to occupy Illusion for a moment, and at the very least, they're not going to have to worry about it being taken against them.
Okay, so both teams are level 17 now. Illusion's going to hit 18 here in just a couple seconds, but both teams will be even on a talent tier, and that's the important part going into this objective. Both teams have all of their ultimates up, so this is going to be, I think, a game-defining team fight over this objective.
Kozer waiting in the wings there, spotting out that rotation, getting stunned up. A lot of damage getting put into him, but ETC not too concerned about it, getting back now into the rest of his team. Dayuni trying to get in the middle. Looks like Sonya's trying to get a flank on, but it's not going to work at all. Look at those health bars dropping now. Defender has used his ultimate to get people out of the way, knowing that he's probably the target. Unaverted getting low.
Big mosh pit going down on two enemy heroes.
Capolan and Disco got super low, though. Capolan finally goes down. Disco does get healed up. Genji, though, getting dropped. Medieval getting some really nice flanking damage in the back line, and now just going to clean things up.
Yep, I do think that Illusion now is just going to push a keep. I don't think they need to take the objective right now. I think they can take a keep first, and then they can take the objective, or just leave one person back. Oh.
Well, it looks like they do want to clean out these skeleton guys while they're here.
Okay. I think they can do more with it than that. I think they could have done a lot more.
So you were thinking about just going straight for a keep and then coming back for the Punisher?
Absolutely. I would have pushed bottom.
Well,
and
maybe looks like that is what they're doing. They just got up to 39 to make sure it's easy to do.
Okay.
However, they did spend some time doing that. In the meantime, it looks like the rest of Black Hand are going to have time to res. So interesting kind of middle ground. We'll see if it ends up being better or worse than either of the two extremes.
Maybe they're soaking up to 20 as well, and then to make sure to kind of make this a GG push.
It could be. Well, they're going to hit 20 extremely soon.
Unaverted is soaking up top. She does have her Z up, so as soon as they hit 20, she is going to Z down to the rest of her team.
Well, it's definitely interesting when we see teams taking into account those timings like that, deciding when is the best time to activate this objective. So some thought obviously went into that. Lining up with level 20 very well, and it's going to be a very difficult push for Black Hand to defend. All heroics are up, at least they will be very soon once ETC gets that mosh pit back.
And this is an Arcane Punisher as well. Arcane Punishers are the best at actually pushing objectives because the Arcane Flares, or the Arcane, whatever these things are called, do shred structures as well as players.
So just like that, the first keep has finally gone down. The team now looks like they're just going right into the core here. Black Hand gonna have to do something. Dayuni just whiffs, doesn't get anybody with that ability there. Punisher.
First thing down the Punisher, now they can start working on maybe pushing people out.
Alright, Punisher has been cleared out. Looks like the minion balance is coming back into Black Hand's favor. Divine Shield goes down onto the Sonya. Exfusor getting kind of low, but everybody just getting healed right back up there. Brightwing now a little bit low, but we'll see how long that lasts. Wow, a mosh pit happening right against Black Hand's base. This core is staying relatively high health, though. Dayuni almost died there, but managing to survive. So far, no deaths. Looks like that's actually a successful defense by the Black Hand.
That's pretty impressive. It is pretty impressive.
Now, they may be chasing this a little bit far. They still do not have level 20.
Yeah, yeah. if Illusion decides to go back in right now, they're going to be in a lot of trouble, especially with Johanna mid.
All right, the team's kind of trying to figure out what they can do at this point. Illusion taking this advantage to finally get that successful invade onto the mercenary camp. They've been trying that all game. Looks like this time it's actually going to work.
So I don't love this. I think giving Blackhand a chance to get 20 and to rally is probably a mistake. I know that they haven't had a lot of wins just regardless in this matchup. But I think that giving them the opportunity to get one is probably just a mistake. I would have just pushed and just ended the game. I feel like they could have.
Yeah, they kind of maybe got a little bit too cute with that Punisher timing, as you mentioned. We'll see what happens now that Blackhand has actually picked up level 20. So, yeah, at this point, it really still could go either way. Obviously, a keep has been picked up in the bottom lane, putting some constant pressure down there. Illusion having really only lost one fort. They definitely still have a bit of a buffer, but at this stage in the game, if one team fight does happen to go wrong, they could easily lose it.
Absolutely. And these are big level 20 talents for Blackhand, right? Blinded by the Light, Farflight Quiver, Ignore Pain on the Sonya means he's going to be able to go just that much deeper, that much harder. Redemption from the Uther, and then obviously Might of the Scourge for Kel'Thuzad. Extremely strong fighting these.
Divine Shield has already been used on the Sonya, who tried to get a pick onto Medieval, but it did not work. Disco now kind of in the middle of the enemy team. A lot of damage being put down by Lunara. Exfusor in the front line on Malthael getting picked off and actually killed. Polymorph goes down onto Disco. Disco drops, so that's 1 for 1 so far. Actually, excuse me, it looks like actually no one did die. Or sorry, Malthael just came right back.
Malthael returned with his level 20 talent.
Right. Well,
now, Uther did go down as well, but team here in a few seconds.
He will be back at the moment though. It's a 5-on-3, so Blackhand gonna have to be pretty careful here. Cupolan now is back up on Uther. Genji though getting just wrecked by Medieval. This Lunara is doing so much damage to that backline.
Kel'Thuzad can't. Okay, now he has come back. Okay, but they have lost the top keep now. He is going to have to defend. So this Punisher is going to be marching straight mid, and I think almost certainly this time they will be looking to end the game.
Yeah, I mean, if Illusion can't do it here, it's going to be a big problem. They've already got 2 keeps down, only 1 left. Punisher coming up. All members alive. They're going to have, I guess, pretty much all of their heroics ready by the time this next fight happens, as will the Blackhand.
Yes, both teams will be able to go in again and fight with their full strength, basically.
Punisher goes in. Kozer follows it up, getting a nice amount of damage onto Unlucky, who's just trying to barely get away, but Exfuser goes straight in against her. Wow! Exfuser does pick up the Valak, pays for it with his own life, however. Disco's still doing not too bad on that front line. Divine Shield goes down to protect the Sonya, takes this advantage, and tries to get some damage onto that team, but just cannot do it. Punisher, though, meanwhile, just taking out that keep, and that keep is going to be going down very soon. Decent stun there from Genji. Kozer now going in, trying to get a nice mosh pit onto all 3 members who are just standing there. Lunara taking advantage of that time to just bounce around, poisoning the heck out of everybody. Genji now about to go down as well, and that's a lot of deaths on the side of the Blackhand. Punisher is still alive. 4 members of Illusion still alive. That keep is, or sorry, that core rather, is gone.
So with that, Illusion has won both games in this series, which put them up 3 points, which ties them actually with Blackhand overall in the series.
Yeah, very well done by Illusion Esports. So that's a 2-0 victory over the Blackhand in this Division A matchup. And as you said, that really bumps them up quite a bit in the standings, even now with the Blackhand. I believe that puts them closer to their sort of rival team, Reality Esports, as well. So well played by them. Both games really quite solidly going over to Illusion. Would you say that that's a question of drafting or a question of execution?
I would say more drafting than anything, to be honest with you. I liked Illusion's draft a lot more in both games. The second game, I felt like maybe they put too many eggs in the we don't want to deal with Vala basket. They left open. So, how soon? Help me remember. How soon did Malthael come out in the draft?
I believe the second round of picks for Illusion.
I think you're right.
I think they first picked Stukov and ETC. Those are their first two.
Okay, and then we saw Vala on the other side, and then we saw, I want to say it was like Uther Johanna or something.
That's right.
Okay. At that point, like, as soon as you see the Malthael, I like to go. So how does Malthael do his damage? And I will go again and say, how does Lunara do her damage? Right? It's dots. So how do you deal with dots? Right? You're talking about AOE dots. You do it with AOE healing, right? Stukov and Brightwing. I think as soon as you saw, you couldn't get the Stukov. They couldn't have got the Stukov because Illusion first picked him. But Brightwing is a really strong counter to Malthael in general, right? So first, her healing kind of counteracts a lot of his damage. They kind of pulse at kind of the same frequency. And second, she can just immediately polymorph out his Tormented Souls.
Right.
So that would have been really good. I also, I'm really surprised that we just didn't see a Nubarak. A Nubarak is one of the hardest possible counters to Malthael. As soon as he pops his thing, you just cocoon him and then just, GG. You know, you might as, in fact, we saw that Reality versus Illusion in the last tournament. I mean, the game one, in the last series, game one, they did that exact same thing, and Malthael was a complete non-factor the entire game.
Definitely a factor in this game. All right, well, that's
sure.
going to do it for tonight's cast. Ducks, thank you for joining me. You have been watching the Nexus Gaming Series. I am Bludgeon, and with that, we will sign out. See you next time.
See you guys.